What's up, you guys? Today we're brewing Tzatziki beer. Let me tell you how this all happened. So Cary and I have been best friends for 3 years. Obviously, if you've been watching any of our videos on YouTube, you know that we've been skiing together. We have our podcast together, Real Restaurant Radio, etc.
Beer dinners, ran into each other at festivals.
All the things.
Mostly drink beer together. Mostly drink.
Cheers, cheers. So I've been poking Cary for like the past 2 years. Like, Cary, I've always wanted to brew my own beer. I've always wanted to have my own beer on tap.
We've been talking about it for, several years.
I think there's been a lot of problems with regulations and the Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission as far as label approol and things of that nature.
How much beer do we make? Will people like it? You just kind of get wrapped up in all these stupid details, and it's like, put on the brakes.
And we're finally doing it.
Let's just do what we do good.
Finally doing it. I'm excited.
These are the 2 of the 3 grains we're using. So we got barley. They look similar, but you'll notice these have a husk on them.
Okay.
And this is wheat. It's harder. It'll be a little more powdery. It'll give the beer thicker mouthfeel. This will be sweet and crisp, and this is where the majority of our sugars will come from when we go to ferment the beer into alcohol.
I'm a Greek restaurant. He's a Texas barbecue restaurant. Mm-hmm. How can we incorporate Greek flavors into a beer? That was the $1 million question. So we're gonna start off with milling the grains. This is like a really cool grain machine. This is like old school here.
That's our original mill.
See, in Greece we have them here, but we run them with donkeys.
Okay.
We have a donkey on a treadmill here.
We had ours on a bicycle for a while. No joke.
You should have called me. I would have brought the donkey over.
We're gonna use 30 pounds of the 2-row barley, 15 pounds of the wheat, and then inside I have 15 more pounds of flaked barley. I think step 1 was go to your place and figure out all of the nuances and details in something that is Greek. And to me, that was tzatziki sauce. Just go for it. Wow. All right, that's it. Got our crushed wheat and barley. See, it's not too fine.
Yeah. It's like cream of wheat almost.
And the husks on that barley are going to create a natural screen and filter, so we can actually extract the white starches, which will be converted into sugar.
We're going to take these grains into the mash, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be making a tzatziki ale, a tzatziki beer. And I know that sounds gross. So
I love this stuff.
it's good. And we've actually not eaten breakfast yet, and we've been working all day long. So we're gonna eat while we talk. But it sounds gross, a tzatziki beer. I'm not gonna drink a tzatziki beer, that's disgusting. But
Sounds good to me.
Cary's gonna take this as a challenge.
We can figure this out.
You sat down, I know you penned a paper and you really wrote it all out. What's going on with the hay over here?
Hey now. Lots of people use rice hulls in their beers to keep the grains from compacting. They use it in the brewing industry to fluff up their grain in order to strain it better.
So hay is not only for horses, it's also for beer.
Right.
I love it.
It doesn't actually contribute any flavor.
It's so aromatic in here, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love the smell.
It's great.
Never get tired of that. There's that screen at the bottom of this vessel.
Sure.
That will actually act as, we call it a false bottom. It'll act as...
Like a big colander.
Exactly. All right, flakes. So we went in at 160. When we add all this cold grain to it, it'll drop the temperature down to about 152 is what we calculated, which is kind of right in the middle of the perfect range for the natural enzymes to convert all of those starches from complex starches to simple sugars.
So when you're brewing beer, temperature is a very big factor. Is that correct?
Yeah, very much. Not just in this step, but in the fermentation as well.
How are you going to make this tzatziki beer? This is basically where you're going to take over, because I'm gonna help brew the beer, but he's the brainchild behind it and all the things.
Well, so over time, we've gotten really good at brewing weird well, if that makes sense.
Cary, you know what I was thinking? What if we put some, okay, it might sound funny, but what if we put like some pita bread in there to Greek it up a little bit? Have you ever done that before?
I've not brewed with bread, but it is a style. And there's no reason that we can't have tzatziki without pita. The style of beer using bread is a Russian style called kvass. Beer is coming up to a boil. This is the time where we add our hops. The hops only get harvested once a year. They're a flowering vine, and we collect those cones, and then they get crushed and pelletized. It gives you lots of your woody, citrusy characteristics and your aromatics and flavors. It also provides the bitterness for your beer, and hops were originally used as a natural preservative. This is Sriracha Ace hops. It's known for its citrusy characteristics, kind of lemon and dill. So
The lemon and dill action, okay. That would go great with in tzatziki sauce.
You don't need very much because it's a high alpha acid hop, which means it will get bitter very fast.
I'm at the restaurant, I'm always eating the wrong ingredients, and I think as a chef, as a foodie, anyone who's doing that, knowing every single part of the process and being able to break it down.
Like we did with the grain.
Like we did with the grain.
Yeah, exactly. It's called wort at this point, the unfermented beer. We're recirculating the grain liquid. It's almost like a tea. You can see it's not clear, but it doesn't have grain particulates in it. A clearer beer would require that we don't use wheat and barley, but that's not really the purpose of this beer. So
It's sweet.
it's very sweet.
Very sweet. Where did all the sugar come from?
From the grains.
From the grains.
Right, and that's the intention of that rest period. It converts those starches, kind of like spaghetti water.
But at this point, there is no alcohol.
No alcohol.
Okay.
We don't make alcohol. The yeast makes alcohol. So the same microorganism that makes your bread rise will take those sugars, chew them up, and create the byproduct is CO2, which is, we'll see it bubbling off, and the bubbles in the beer, and alcohol.
Some people just don't know, like, you don't actually add like bottles of alcohol to beer to give it alcohol.
No, and that's where all alcohol comes from. Nobody makes alcohol. They make sugar water in various forms with, you could use beet sugar, you could use, which is cane sugar, which is how you end up getting rum.
Okay.
You can use barley, which is how, and corn, which is how you can make beer or bourbon.
Whiskey, yes.
Yep. Or you can use wine or grapes, where you get wine and brandy.
So we're done here, so what's the next process?
To remove all of that plant material from the liquid. We've done beers with lemon, we've done beers with lactic acids, breads, coriander, we've done wit beers, and so all of these experiences combined into this moment to where it makes sense that we can actually make this happen. Bring it up. All right, stop there. We're gonna do it in stages so we don't create too much suction. All right, so we're done with our mash. We're gonna remove all of the grain. It's pretty heavy, so we got this handy track. An ingredient called firm cap. Just a little bit goes a long way. It helps break the foam up, and so it doesn't boil over while we're adding our other things.
We're excited, we're gonna add the Sriracha hops now to the beer. So now we got the barley and the hops.
Time to set our 45-minute timer. At 45 minutes, we'll add some of our other cool tzatziki ingredients. Taking cues from all of the beautiful natural ingredients that go into your tzatziki sauce. Where do we start? You want something like drinkable and fresh, right? And people think cucumber. I don't have cucumbers here today, but cucumbers will come in later in the process, about day 4 out of fermentation. You think dill, which this is the real dill right here, right? You've got lemon, and so we're gonna use fresh lemon juice. We're gonna use, have you seen dried lemon peel?
I've never had, it's like lemon jerky, basically.
Kinda, it's, I don't know that it's something you would wanna snack on necessarily. It's kinda hard and pithy, but it has all of the oils that you find in the freshly zested lemon. So we'll be adding this to our beer. We're using a really high quality salt. It's actually salt that is harvested from shallow ponds as the rainwater goes through these lagoons. You can actually snack on this stuff. It's good. Really good. Coriander will bring out some of those citrus spices that you
I love coriander. I use coriander all the time in my kitchen.
And you know coriander is the seed of cilantro. Nobody likes hot beer, either does yeast. So we got our cooling coils. Gonna drop them in the wort. And then we're gonna recirculate the wort, hook up some cold water. It'll flow through those coils and the water will come out hot, but then the liquid will end up being chilled.
We're gonna take the wort, run it through this hose, up into the fermenter, where it's going to rest for
2 weeks. There's different types of yeast. Sometimes we'll order a fresh liquid culture from a yeast manufacturer. Other times we'll go to our yeast bank here where we have some dried yeast. And sometimes we'll actually pull yeast out of another fermenter and pitch it onto a new beer. I think with the right balance, we'll get some lactic acid in there to kind of imitate the yogurt character without being too, it's not gonna be milky. It's gonna be crisp and refreshing and bright. And I think people are really gonna enjoy it.
Cary, I have the wort here and I graduated in cylinder. So now this is where we're gonna test the alcohol levels of the beer, is that correct?
There's no alcohol in the beer yet. Technically, we did pitch the yeast, so we can call it beer, but the beer or the yeast hasn't had enough time to convert all those sugars into alcohol. So what we're going to test is take this middle one and drop it in there and see how much available sugar there is. So the higher it floats, the more sugar there is.
Right now I'm getting a reading of 13, 12.5.
12.5.
Yeah. What is that unit of measurement?
Play-Doh. Oh yeah, good level of tartness, slightly salty. I think the herbs are gonna shine through once the sugar levels drop. I think it's gonna be complex yet refreshing and approachable, which
that sounds amazing.
That's what we're going for. Good job, man.
Thanks, Cary. That was fantastic. Thanks for allowing me to brew my first batch of beer commercially. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be great.
I'll see you in a few weeks.
You gotta come by for some sampling.
Guys, that wraps up an amazing video here at Intrinsic Smokehouse and Brewing Company in downtown Garland. A big thank you, a big shout out to Cary Hodson for going above and beyond with the hospitality. It was a fantastic experience being able to brew my very first batch of commercial beer, and what a beer it is. This Tzatziki Gose, phenomenal, phenomenal brew. Hey, if it's your first time here, my name is Kostas Lazanas. I am the owner and head chef of Old Greek Tavern. I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the video. Do you like beer, or did you just like the production value of this video? Either way, I just love communicating with you. You're all amazing. Until then, we will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.
Tell me, brother, don't you wait.